what's up? It's Karen San Diego, and I am now officially 8 months post-op. And I would just start by saying that this month has been great, honestly. I feel like that's true for every month now as I go forward in this journey. I think I talked about in my 7-month update that the month was great, and I think the same for this month. As things progress through this journey, I think I'm just getting more accustomed to this new life. As we know that it is a completely new life, you are readjusting to a new way of living. You're reforming a new identity in yourself, and as you get further and further along in the journey, it gets easier as you've just gotten accustomed to it. So I think that's where I'm at now. But I will say that one thing I will say about this month is that this month, the theme for this month, I'll say, is confused. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as I get to the updates. But yeah, the theme of this month, the theme of month 8 is confusion, okay? If you are new to this channel, the way I do things here is I start off my video by giving you some updates, what has changed for me in month 8, and then you'll stay tuned to the end of the video to see what I weigh now at 8 months post-op. So without further ado, let's get right into the updates. All right, so the first update that I have on this list, this is in reference to something that I've talked about in many other updates, and that is that I have absolutely no interest in getting pregnant. My daughter Ryan, she is going to be a forever only child. I do not intend to have any more children. And because of that, this month I have started birth control. So I know. One of the main things that happen after VSG surgery, one of the side effects is increased fertility. And I know everybody knows that. And because of that, you're probably like, sis, why did you wait until month 8 to start birth control if you don't want to get pregnant? And if you thought that, then you would be accurate. That makes sense. However, I waited so long because I was genuinely just afraid that I was gonna mess up my periods. And for me, every single month since having surgery, my period has been perfect. I'm talking last 4 days, no more, no less. I'm talking comes on the day that my app says it's gonna come, leaves on the day that my app says it's gonna leave. It has been immaculate. And because of that, I did not want to mess up that progress by starting birth control and having to deal with any sort of complications with my period and mess up my cycle. I didn't want to deal with this. I was really afraid because if you don't know, I have PCOS, and one of the biggest side effects that I have with my PCOS is irregular periods. For me, before surgery, my periods would either not come at all, and when they did come, they'd be really long. Like, I'm talking the longest period that I ever had lasted about 4 months of consecutive bleeding. So now that my period was perfect, and I had not had a perfect period since maybe I was like 19 years old. So seeing how perfect it was now, I was ecstatic. Like, I did not want to mess it up, and I was really terrified to mess it up. But then I started birth control and it got messed up. And I don't want to say it got messed up because I still am trying to be optimistic in thinking that it could just be that I just started birth control and my hormones are kind of off balance right now because they're adjusting, and that maybe as I continue, everything will just get back into order because my body's adjusted to the hormones. I'm hoping that's what it is. But so far this month, my first month on birth control, my period came and it is still here. And it's been over a week at this point. I want to say maybe I'm on like day 10, day 11, day like 10 or 11 now of my period, which is insane. And not insane for me because of what I'm accustomed to, but insane because it's been so perfect leading up to this. So this is not what I wanted. And on top of my period being here and lasting way too long, I've also noticed an increase in my facial hair since starting the pill. With my PCOS, that was also something that I talked about before, that one of the symptoms of my PCOS is increased facial hair. So I get a lot of facial hair on my chin. I get a mustache. My mustache isn't that bad, but my chin hair, like if I wanted to, I could grow a beard. But I take the necessary steps to, handle that. And since having surgery, I haven't had to do as much to handle that. I would shave maybe like every 2 weeks and I'd be good. But since starting birth control, I am Chewbacca. Like, I'm talking facial hair growing in every day. Like I have to shave my chin every day, and I found that it has grown in a little bit thicker. So there are certain hairs, like in this zone right here, that I have to tweeze because the razor won't properly get it, and it's just been a mess, and I don't want to deal with this. So I'm hoping that as I continue with control, that be something that gets improved as well. If after like 3 or 4 months I don't notice a difference in these things, I'm definitely going to go back to the doctor and try a different method of birth control. For the record, I'm taking hormonal birth control pills. And I chose a pill because I didn't want to take a shot. I didn't want to wear a patch. And then I know that I had thought about an IUD, which they put into, I think, like this, like up in you and like keep it by your cervix, and it stops it that way. But I was afraid of the IUD because of the risk of it implanting. If you watched, I'm not sure if I talked, yeah. If you go back and watch my birth story from when I had my daughter, the reason that I had to have an emergency C-section with my daughter was because I had to have a cerclage on my cervix, which is basically just where they tie the cervix shut so that you can't go into labor. And my cerclage, which is supposed to just be able to go in there and take it out before you give birth, mine implanted into my uterus. So I had to be rushed into a C-section to have it surgically removed. And then had to deliver Ryan via C-section because my cerclage implanted. So because I know that my uterus has a tendency to implant things into it, I didn't want to risk the IUD implanting as well. So birth control pills seemed like the best option for me. But obviously, if these issues become a thing, I'm going to have to figure out what else I could do, or maybe try a different pill with less hormones. I don't know. But regardless, starting birth control pills has been less than fun for me. On the flip side, once my period stops, I will not get pregnant. So maybe I'll just deal with it for that tidbit. Next on my list, and this one I think I'm actually pretty proud of, because if you have watched my other updates, you know that I am not a person who is very good at taking vitamins. I suck at taking my vitamins. Y'all be asking me about vitamins and wanting me to include vitamins in videos. I wasn't taking them. Like that, to be honest, I wasn't taking them. I was never remembering to take them. I was not in a good routine with them. So I couldn't add that to anything because I wasn't taking them. But in month 8, I have been on a great routine. I have not missed my vitamins, not one day in month 8. I have been taking them. And what I did to get myself into a good routine with that is I put my vitamins right next to my coffee. I put it in the same drawer where my coffee is. So every time I make my coffee, I had to move the vitamin to get to the coffee. And because of that, I would take my vitamins right before I drank my coffee, because I eat my breakfast first and then I drink my coffee. So I like to take my vitamins on a full stomach. So it was perfect. So it was a perfect time of day to take them. And I've been really good at it. And now, even if I don't drink my coffee, I'm in a good enough routine to where I remember to take my vitamins. So I have been on top of it, and I'm super proud of myself for that, because vitamins are super important, and we don't eat that much food. So because we don't eat that much food, it's not possible to get as much nutrients as we need from food alone. So the vitamins is necessary to not be malnourished. So now that I'm in a good swing of things, I've noticed a difference in my attention span. I've noticed a difference in my energy and just the way that I feel overall. So I'm really, really happy to get that down. Big thing with that is my calcium. So when I say my vitamins, I take a bariatric multivitamin and I take calcium chews. Both of those things I take from the brand Berry Life. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do have affiliate links with them. And I have a coupon code for you guys that they did give me, I think for like 20% off. So I'll put all of that information in the description box if you're interested. But I take the Berry Life multivitamin and I take Berry Life calcium chews. I do the caramel flavor because it tastes like candy. It tastes like the little Werther's caramels. But the thing with the calcium, I have always had, I have a family history of arthritis, and I always have had really bad wrist pain in the morning when I wake up. And I noticed that since surgery, that pain has intensified. But since I've been on top of taking my calcium, I haven't had the wrist pain, or at least had not had severe wrist pain. And I know that your bones and all kind of stuff, if calcium affects that. So I think that that's where that came from. So definitely a good thing. and I definitely will be moving forward being on top of it. It sucks that I wasn't on top of it before, but nobody's perfect. I got it together now. So month 8 is the month of being in control of my vitamin intake. Next thing on my list, and I think this one, and then almost like everything under it, goes into the theme of the video, which I said the theme of today's video is confusion. Confusion is the name of the game here. And we'll start with this. So I'm looking at my notes because I write notes every single time so I don't forget anything. But sometimes my notes be like in my head, like things that make sense to me. But if someone else read this, they'd be confused. So the next note, what I wrote down here is touching myself. Like I just wrote touch, but I know what I mean by that. But if someone else read it, they'd be like, sis, what? What are you about to talk about in this video? But no, what I mean by that is literally, and tell me if you've experienced this too, but I feel like when I'm laying down, or even not laying down, even just like sitting like this, what I notice is that I will be laying down in bed, like getting ready to sleep, and I'll just like have my hand draped on myself, and then I'll just like touch myself and notice bones where there wasn't bones before. Like I'll even like this, like my shoulder bone, like there's like a pointed bone here that I didn't know was there. I don't remember ever feeling that before. My collarbones are like insane. Even like this bone, like, hold on, I'm about to, it looks so still silly, but these things that wasn't there before. I noticed that like when I suck my stomach in, like when I breathe in, suck all the air in and suck my stomach in, I can see my rib cage. That, or like sometimes I'll be laying down and like I'll just put my hand on my stomach and I'll be like, where's the fupa? Like my stomach is just flat when I lay down. When I stand up, I still have a little bit of a fupa, but when I'm laying down, my stomach is flat. Like I could just go whoop on my stomach, and like sometimes I'll just be laying there doing it because it's so confusing to me, because it's to the point where like it doesn't even feel like me. Like it feels like I'm touching somebody else, because I'm not personally accustomed to my body feeling that way. Or even like the shocking one to me be like when I have my hand on my hip and there's a bone there. Like I don't even know what bone that is. Like, is that I don't know if that's my hip bone or what bone that is, but it's just like, where did all of these bones come from? And it's bones that I feel like just last week were not there. But this week, I seem to got bones everywhere, poking out of everywhere. I touch my knees and I feel the bones in that. Like when I sit down, I can more so feel my butt bones. Like I just feel so many bones, and it's just so strange to me. Along with that, I notice a difference in the way that I sit. So like right now I'm sitting in a chair, crisscross applesauce. I would not have been able to sit in a chair like this before. Or I notice I'll do this a lot, where like I have like my knee up here and I'll be sitting like this, or like just like the weirdest of positions. Or even like another thing that I notice that I'm doing a lot is like testing my flexibility. So I'll literally be just like sitting around and just like, I wonder if I can get my foot behind my head. And it's something that I wouldn't have tried before, because I would have known I couldn't do that before. But I feel like I'm just like exploring the boundaries of my body now. I noticed, if you follow me on Instagram, which you should, you know that like I recently realized I can do a split. I can lift my leg up in the air. I can do a lot of flexibility type things. And granted, I was a cheerleader in high school. I danced as a kid, so I had flexibility from that. But after gaining weight, I didn't have any of that. So yeah, all of that. So I'm feeling bones in bodies where they weren't before. I'm more flexible than I was before. I can sit in really strange positions and naturally sit in really strange positions that I never would have thought to sit before. On Instagram, I had showed that I can do that Ariana Grande stool challenge now, where like you sit with your legs kind of slanted on the stool without like touching anything. If I could find a picture of that, I'll put that up here. But like things like that, it's just like, there's just so many new things that my body can do now that I just had no clue that I could do. And my body just has so many different parts to it, I guess, like, or is missing so many parts to it, missing so much fat, that I'm noticing new features in myself that I did not notice before. Even with my face, like sometimes I'll look at my face and notice like my cheekbones, or notice like different things that I did not see before, and different structures in my face and my body. And it's just like, wow, it's like literally looking at a different person every single time I look in the mirror. Without fail, every single time I look in the mirror, I notice something new that wasn't there before. So like literally every single day before I get in the shower, I just stand there butt naked and just stare at myself. Like I'll do a little bit of a twist, I'll look at myself, I'll raise my arms just to see, like, it's like going on Netflix and trying to see what's new, like what's new that I can watch today. I feel like I'm doing that every single day in the bathroom, just like what's new about my body today, because I'm literally seeing something new every single day. And honestly, I'm loving it here. Next on my list, and this is definitely a TMI type of vibe, but y'all know, if you know me, you know I'm gonna give you everything, even if it's TMI. And that is that shaving my vagina is so much easier. When I say so much easier, before it was a whole thing. Like before, I used to have to bring the mirror into the bathroom because when I look down, I don't see vagina. Like when I look down, I was seeing belly. It was all belly. Before, I could not see her unless I was looking in a mirror. Like I could not bend down and just see it, you know? So I had to do a lot of extraness just to be able to shave that I do not have to do now. So now I noticed I recently shaved my entire body, and I noticed that I was able just to be like la la la, like just looking down and shaving my legs. I could just lift my leg up and shave. Like before, I had to have a stool of some sort. Like nothing was easy about shaving. It was an exercise. So half the time when I was bigger, I would just be hairy, because why shave when it was so much work? Like I would be out of breath after shaving because I had to bend myself in all kinds of ways that was not easy for me. Whereas now, like I'm just like shaving the leg, lifting the leg up and doing it. Like it's so easy, especially when it comes to her. Like literally I was just like la 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 and done very, very quickly. And it was just like, wow. It's like those type of things that you don't even think about beforehand that is gonna improve in your life. But girl, I'm telling you, game changing. Next on my list, and this one I'm not, let me just explain. So next on my list, I wrote down when I'm on my period, I can eat a lot more than I can normally. So for this one, this is a change that just happened this month. So I don't know if this is a period thing or if it's a birth control thing, but I noticed, burps. I noticed that since my period started, which was the first day of my period, was also the first day that I took birth control. So I don't know which one caused this, but I noticed an increase in my appetite, which isn't something that I experienced any of the other months, because for the most part, I don't get that hungry. Like, I don't get that hungry. I don't eat that much. But I noticed that this month when I was on my period, or now even still, I'm hungrier than usual, and I'm able to eat a lot more than I know. Well, a lot more is a drag, right? Because typically I can eat about 3 to 4 ounces of food in one sitting. On my period, it's more so 4 to 5. Yeah, about 4 to 5 ounces, which is more than usual, which isn't crazy. Like I'm not gonna gain weight by eating 5 ounces of food. However, 5 ounces of food do not comfortably fit into my stomach. So because of that, I'll notice that since being on my period, I'll push my body to a little bit more of a limit and feel uncomfortable after eating. Whereas when I'm not on my period, I didn't experience that. So it's the kind of thing where just because I can and I'm stuffing my food doesn't mean that I should. So I've had to like check myself a few times and be like, sis, stop eating. But I'm like, I'm hungry. Like I want to keep eating. And I noticed that definitely has been something with this period. And I honestly caught up to it by like day 4 and got it in check. And after that, I'm like, nope. Let me just section out my food and put my food on a smaller plate so that I don't even get tempted to eat a little bit more, and that helps. But I'm just curious to know if anybody has noticed an increase in appetite on their period after surgery, or an increase in appetite on their period on birth control pills after surgery. Because I definitely do notice my appetite being more, but that doesn't mean my pouch is more. So there's still not enough room in my stomach to eat the things that I'm feeling like I want to eat, but yeah. And this is the kind of thing where it's like, I'm aware of it, so I'm able to control it, but it's just kind of weird because it's not my norm. Hence the confusion. Next thing on my list, keeping with the confusion theme of this video, is shopping. Shopping, let me adjust myself for this one. Shopping has been so confusing for me, mainly because I don't understand why my brain is having as difficult time as it is understanding that I am not a bigger girl anymore. And I feel like I'm at a place now with my body dysmorphia and all of that, that my brain is not seeing myself as the size 18 2XL girl. My brain, however, is seeing myself as like a size large 14 type of girl. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's like a perfect size as well. Like I feel like that still is pretty small, but that's not where I'm at. But for whatever reason, when I go shopping, those are the sizes that I'm picking. And I don't know why I'm doing it. And like, I don't know if I need to go back to therapy. I don't know what it is, but I'm picking up sizes when I know that that's not my size. My brain is telling me that's my size. Like for example, I'm going back to work in person next week. So I had to pick up some work clothes, and I picked up a blazer. And initially I picked up the size large and started heading to the register, but then something was like, Karen, try it on. I tried it on way too big. So then I go back, I pick up the medium and almost start heading to the register with it, because I figure if I'm not a large, I'm a medium. There's nowhere else we can go with this. Try on the medium, still too big. So then I'm like, what the hell? Pick up the small, try it on, it fits, but even the small had some room. But I had to stand there and stare at it for a while because it was difficult for my brain to grasp that I was going to buy a size small, that a size small was my size. And I think what was more confusing about this specific situation was that I already had that blazer. Like I owned that blazer in a size 2XL. So buying the blazer in a size small was like, wait a minute, huh? Like, how did I go from a 2XL to a small? How is this my size now? Like, I was just so confused that like, it was really screwing with my head. And I don't understand why, because like, I know I lost weight, but for whatever reason, my brain is not registering that I don't wear that size anymore. My sizes are a small or a medium. My pant sizes are an 8 or a 10. And my brain is still being like, girl, pick up the large. And like, on Instagram, I told you guys that my next video is going to be a swimsuit try on haul. And I had to actually, the reason that video didn't come out yet is because I bought everything in a size large, and something told me to try on some of the pieces before I did the video, which I usually don't do. But something just told me just to try it on, just to be sure. And on top of the fact that they sent me a bunch of bikini bottoms and didn't send me the top, so good thing I did open the package. But also, I bought size larges and they were all too big. So I had to return it and get smaller sizes. But that was really difficult for me to wrap my head around the fact that I needed to order smalls and mediums is still right now. Even in this moment, as I'm talking to you and vocalizing that I know I've lost weight, it is still very difficult for me to understand that that is my size and to pick up the size. I almost feel foolish when I pick up a size small because I'm like, girl, you ain't no small. But I actually am. And it's just like, I don't know how to move past it. I don't know how to get through it. I think it's one of those things that just with time, as I shop more, it will just start to make sense to me, I guess. But right now I'm really struggling with that, and I don't get it. All right, so next on my list is that my weight loss is definitely slowing down. It hasn't stopped by any means. And once I get into my weigh-in, you'll see what I mean by it slowed down. But my weight loss has definitely slowed down from how it was moving in the beginning, which I think is normal. I know that as you get closer and closer to 1 year post-op, it's supposed to slow down because most people lose the weight they're gonna lose in the first year, and then it usually slows down after. So I think it makes sense that at month 8, it's slowing down. And I'm honestly okay with that. I only have like 10 to 15 more pounds that I wanna lose anyway. So it's slowing down now would mean that I think I'm pretty confident that I can get there by my 1 year mark or maybe a little bit after it. I'm not in a rush. The only reason that I kind of do want to just get to wherever I'm going to stop is because I want to revamp my wardrobe, which may sound really like vain. Like, why do you care about your clothes? But I do care about my clothes because I feel that confidence, a big part of how confident you feel is how good you look. When you walk into a room and you got a bomb outfit on, you're gonna feel good about yourself. And I feel like now that I'm smaller, I want to be able to nicely dress the body that I have now. The body that I have now looks good in a lot of things that it didn't look good in before. So I want to be able to dress like that. I want to be able to wear the things. I want to be able to wear the tighter outfits that I couldn't wear before. And I want to feel confident in myself based off what I'm putting on my body. And it's just been difficult to shop when my sizes are constantly changing. Like the top I'm wearing right now, for example, it looks fine because you're only seeing the top half of me. But this shirt I bought maybe like 3 months ago, and now it's actually like too big. Like I have it pinned so it would be okay, but the shirt's too big. It's not something that I could really wear outside anymore, and that's kind of frustrating because like I really like this shirt. Maybe I can get it tailored, but yeah, like clothes, I would like to get to a place where I could revamp my wardrobe, restock my entire wardrobe, and know that the clothes that I put in my closet will fit continuously. But I can't really do that until I get to a place where like for a few months the scale hasn't moved, which isn't where I'm at yet, but I think I'm gonna get there soon. I think I'm gonna get to that point soon, and at that point I'll have to switch to maintenance and figure out a way to maintain that weight, which is something that I'm gonna talk to my nutritionist about in our next appointment. Next on my list is another thing that is definitely confusing, and that is just that I'm trying to find the balance. I want to make sure I explain this correctly because it looks a little confusing the way I wrote it in my notes. When I eat things that I'm not supposed to eat, the balance between feeling bad about that and being hard on myself about it, and giving myself some grace and just knowing that I can eat whatever I want in moderation, trying to find the balance of when is the appropriate time to tackle it in that way. Because I noticed that I end up feeling really guilty about things that are not a thing, if that makes sense. Because I eat so little, sometimes I will eat a very small amount of food, but think that I overate, and then be like, oh my God, I had so much food. Like I'll eat like 3 chicken wings and be like, oh my God, I ate so much food. And it's like, sis, no, you didn't. You didn't eat a lot of food. You did not eat a lot of food. And trying to remind myself that I did not eat a lot of food. Because like thinking back to the portion sizes of what I used to eat, girl, I used to eat so much food. Like I was the person that could have sat down and eaten an entire box of pizza by myself. Pizza is the perfect example of this, right? Old me could have eaten an entire box of pizza by myself without help, especially if it was Domino's. But now if I order Domino's, I'll eat a slice and move on. But before, when I first started introducing things like pizza back into my diet, I could only eat like half a slice or a portion of a slice, whereas now I can actually eat an entire slice of pizza. And when I do, sometimes I'll feel bad about it, but then I'm like, girl, it was a slice of pizza. The one slice of pizza is not gonna make you gain weight. It was the eating the whole box of pizza that got you to gain weight. It wasn't one slice. Now, does that mean I should be eating a slice of pizza for lunch every single day? Absolutely not. But if I do that every now and then, I will be okay. So sometimes I'm just like, damn, like, should I be hard on myself about this, or should I leave it alone? And which is the more healthier way to attack that? Because I feel like if I feel like I had too many of those in moderation moments in a week, then yeah, it is appropriate for me to check myself and be like, girl, you gave yourself the ability to do the wrong thing a little bit too much this week. Get it back in track moving forward. That's healthy. Whereas being mad at myself anytime I do something that isn't perfect, even with going by my moderation theory, that's not healthy, because I should be able to give myself some grace. I did not get on this diet to be on keto. Like, I'm not someone who's gonna be like, no carbs, no sugar, no this. I don't think that's sustainable. Especially in the long term, I don't think that's sustainable. I think the way to be successful with this long term is to allow anything in moderation, but to stick to that. So any point where I feel like it's not moderation, then I think it is appropriate to check myself, but just trying to find the balance of doing that in a healthy way and not making myself feel bad, especially when I did not overeat. Like, eating one tiny slice of pizza is not overeating. Should you do it all the time? No, but it's not overeating. So sometimes I do have those internal battles with myself on like, is it okay? Is it not okay? Should I be mad? Should I not be mad? And it's something that I am definitely working on, because my main goal out of this is not just about losing weight. It's about having a healthy relationship with my mind and my body as it relates to my weight and as it relates to food. Yeah, because I feel like on top of the fact that I used to overeat, I also would feel really bad about it after every single time, which would either do one of two things. After I overate before surgery, I would either go down the rabbit hole and just continue to binge eat because I felt like I felt horrible, or I would go on a crash diet, which is also unhealthy, and go down one of the two unhealthy paths. Whereas I could also just be like, well, you need to get it together and just not do it again, and not overeat because of it or starve myself because of it. I don't need to starve myself to make up for eating something. And, you know, just retraining my brain to not think down about myself if I chose to have some pizza, you know? Just giving myself grace in that attempt while also holding myself accountable and finding that balance. Yeah. And this next thing I have on here goes along with this, but it's actually not an update. It's just because I've been getting this question a lot and I just wanted to clear it up in case anybody else was confused about this. And that's about counting calories. So along with the theory of like not wanting to overindulge, not wanting to overeat, a lot of people, when I mention that, have asked me how much calories do I eat or do I count my calories? And I actually do not. And I'm intentionally bringing that up because of people have asked me this quite a lot recently. But I do not count my calories because along with the bad habits that I had before of either going and binge eating because I felt bad or starving myself because I felt bad, I also feel like I have a negative association with calorie counting. I feel like being obsessed about counting calories and tracking it in apps and doing all this kind of stuff, to me, and I want to stress to me, because I think everybody should do what feels best for them. For me, that doesn't feel good. To me, counting calories and putting my food in apps and doing that kind of stuff does not feel good to me. It feels unhealthy to me, especially because of the way my brain works. Because for me, if I start counting stuff like that and I'm not sticking to what I said, I'm going to be very, very mean to myself and very, very down on myself for not hitting certain goals when it comes to that. And it's not healthy for me. So I choose not to live my life in that way. Instead, I choose to stick to eating small portion sizes, stick to prioritizing protein in every single meal that I eat, stick to after protein first going to vegetables before I go to any sort of other carb like rice and things like that. And I think that as long as I stick to those things, I'll be okay. I also don't snack very often outside of like my Power Crunch bars, which y'all know I love. And even those are high in protein, so that's sticking to my protein. I don't eat a lot of things that I shouldn't eat when it comes to regular sweets that are not sugar-free and things like that. If I see one, I'll have one, but I don't make that a habit. And I feel like as long as I stick to those things, I don't need to count my calories because like I said, I eat 3 to 4 ounces of food in every sitting. I don't think it's possible for me to eat enough to gain weight sticking to that. Now, is it possible that some foods may be small in portion but high in calories? Sure, but I'm okay with that. Because once again, it's not something that I do every day. I don't want to obsess over food. When I think about it, I think of somebody who is just naturally skinny and just goes about life. They just kind of eat intuitively. They eat what they want. They eat when they're hungry. They don't overeat. And that's more so what I want to do. I don't want to have to be in diet culture for the rest of my life. I got this surgery to get away from diet culture, not to just find new ways to incorporate it into my life. So yeah, I do not count calories for that reason. That is my last update for this month. Like I said, this has been a great month, but definitely a confusing month. But I'm really, really, really excited to bring you guys into my weigh-in, and I will show you why in a second. So I don't want to spoil it before we get to the weigh-in. So let's stop talking and just weigh in. I'll see you guys after you see my weight. So if you do not know, me being 173 pounds means that I have officially lost 100 pounds.
Yay! Mommy lost 100 pounds.
I did. Are you excited?
Yeah!
That means my pre-surgery weight was 274 pounds, which means now that I am 173 pounds, I have lost 101 pounds since starting my VSG journey. And I like to count that from before I started my pre-op diet, because my pre-op diet was part of the process. So before my pre-op diet, I was 274 pounds. So I have officially hit my 100 pounds lost mark, and I can't believe that 100 pounds in 8 months is insane. There is absolutely no way that I could have done this without this surgery. I do not think that that is possible. At least not for me, it's not. So I'm so grateful to the surgery for giving me this, for giving me my life back. I have lost 100 pounds. 100. Like, that is just insane to me. Like, literally insane. I cannot believe it. And yeah, I'm just happy, I'm grateful, and I'm excited to see where this takes me. I'm excited to see if I lose more than that. And I'm honestly okay if I don't at this point, which is a beautiful place to be in. Especially, you know, for someone who was overweight before, it is amazing to be at a place where you're okay not losing any more weight. Like, to be like, you know, I'm actually just pretty comfortable at my weight right now. That is not something, I don't think I've ever said that in my life. I remember being a child, being like 8 years old and going to the doctor and being told that I was obese as a child. And mind you, I was not. The BMI chart is messed up. But I remember being told that as a child and being so self-conscious about my weight, especially because I was a dancer at the time. I did ballet, tap, jazz, like modern dance, African dance. And as a dancer, most of the kids were skinny. So being someone who was a little bit bigger at the time, I felt so self-conscious, and I've always been body conscious. Even in the past when I have been smaller, I've always been body conscious. So now being at this weight now and feeling so confident in myself and not caring if I lose any more weight and feeling confident in my body and at my weight, this feeling is just an amazing feeling. And I feel like it goes into why I do what I do and why I make the content that I make, because I want everybody to feel what I feel right now. I want everybody to feel as confident in themselves as I feel right now, or even better than I feel right now. I want to share this. I want to motivate other people to know that you do not have to be miserable forever. If traditional diets are not working for you, there is another way that you can do this. And I want to show what that can look like. I want to show that it's not always going to be a negative. Like, of course, surgery is not perfect. Everybody has different results. Everybody has a different process. But as much as I know some people are like, they haven't had a positive experience, I have, and I want to share it. I want to let people know that it is possible. I want, man, the feeling is just unmatched. I'll just say that. The feeling is unmatched, and I want all of you to feel it too. But that is it for this update. I hope you found the information in here helpful. I hope if you are a surgery twin with me and you had your surgery in March like I did, that you are also doing great. If you had surgery around when I did, let me know how you're doing, or even if you didn't, let me know how you're doing. This community is part of what has made this journey so easy for me. Having all of you to talk to throughout this journey has made things so smooth for me. So I'm grateful to all of you. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.
Where in the world is Karen San Diego? From BK to Valley, it's anywhere she say so. She changing your life, can see it straight through her eyes.